Hey, what's up, everybody? Gonna do a classic rock reaction, man. This is a complimentary quad. Complimentary quad featuring the music of the Rolling Stones. And what we've got in the shoot here is starting off with Rocks Off, followed by Tumbling Dice, followed by Torn and Frayed, and finally Let It Loose. I just want to give a shout out and a thanks first of all, man, to Sarah J. Sarah, thank you very much. Thank you for the recommendation. Also providing links, very important. Thank you. Sarah has written us kind of like an intro to the music of the Stones, and I believe these are all off of the same album. We'll see as I read along, but yeah, man, she says that, well, let me read the note. So let's start off with reading Sarah's notes. It's a touch lengthy, so here we go. Hi STB, here's a quad from the Rolling Stones featuring 4 songs from their 1972 double album, Exile on Main Street. Okay, they're all on the same album. I strongly suggest you pull up the lyrics to each, as Mick is even more unintelligible here than usual. Okay. You know what, Sarah? I can't listen and read the lyrics at the same time. It's like my attention just can't really focus on one thing in particular. And if I read lyrics, I don't get like images in my mind. My memory doesn't kick in as well as it does. And I am really falling behind in interpreting what it is that the artist is trying to tell me, and it kind of kills my first impression. You know, that's kind of like the fun element. So I think what I'll do is when I kind of go through my review at the end of the week, I'll bring up the lyrics and kind of go along, and sometimes I like to pause and then kind of go back a little bit, that sort of thing. So even if I am doing a reaction with the lyrics in front of me, I know I'm going to want to pause and kind of go back because I'm missing something, you know. So it's probably easier that I just listen to it first without the lyrics, and then later on my own time go through it again with the lyrics. That's just the easiest way for me and my crazy ass brain. All right. In 1971, Keith Richards, Anita Pallenberg, and their 2-year-old son Marlon rented a large mansion in the south of France on the Côte d'Azur called Nelcote. The other band members would gather here to write and record the new album in the basement recording studio. Nelcote was old, the basement cold and damp, and they had a lot of trouble with instruments going out of tune from the less than ideal conditions. But Keith was adamant that they stay and finish the record. Along with Keith, Mick, Charlie Watts, Bill Wyman, and Mick Taylor, additional musicians were invited to hang and contribute. Notably, Graham Parsons. He and Keith were fast friends, probably due to the heroin they were both addicted to and had unlimited access to, as well as being musical kindred spirits. Graham was a country rock writer, musician, and formerly of the Byrds and the Flying Burrito Brothers, and his influence is strong on this record. He would die the year after this album's release. I think it's universally acknowledged that the song Torn and Frayed was written about Graham and Keith. The song Let It Loose has been thought to be about Keith, Anita, and their joint heroin habit. Bobby Keys joined them at Nelcote and played saxophone on many tracks. Nicky Hopkins was there to add piano, as well as Billy Preston. Keith was in a relationship with Anita Pallenberg, who had been Brian Jones's girlfriend previously. She too was a heroin addict. Graham drank heavily, as did everyone in the band, and he also did heroin. So it was a fairly isolated, close-knit group of musicians doing their thing while also ingesting copious amounts of alcohol and other assorted drugs. However, this strange alchemy resulted in what is universally regarded as the Stones' best record. So this is kind of like their version of going to, damn, was it Braun Ure the cottage that Led Zeppelin went to write and be isolated. Hope this wasn't too long. I think it's important to know the setting and the people involved that summer. This was my first great love, this album. I was 13 and I'd never recovered. It's my favorite album of all time. Hope you enjoy. Note, the live performances that exist of these songs just aren't very good, which is why I didn't include any. You have to hear the studios first. Okay, thanks for all you've done, all you do, and all you're going to be doing. Sarah. Okay, that's a triple shot, Sarah. Thank you very much. Triple whammy, as we call it. Do you remember that show, Big Bucks No Whammies? Let me know if you guys know what I'm talking about. Alright, so let's kick it off with our first track, man, and that being Rocks Off. The Rolling Stones, Rocks Off. Let's get it. That's a video.
Show
gonna get his ass run over. All right. Good footage, man. Good footage of the band. Walking around, having a good time, enjoying themselves. Mick looks like he's around, I'd say, late 20s there. Rocks off. Yeah. Of all the oceans of Rolling Stones tunes, yeah, man. This is one of them that I've never heard before. Good tune, though. Good tune. Sounds like he's trying to find some sort of balance between being, I don't know, sober and being a little bit flashed, depending on what's going on. The Rolling Stones, man, these guys, I tell you, just absolute legendary. Just their longevity is just something to be rewarded, you know. And I'm sure they've received a Lifetime Achievement Award and all of these different kind of accolades just for their longevity alone. Their longevity. I don't know. I think about it sometimes, and it's just it's an element of wonder. Just their longevity, being in the business, being mixing and intertwining with all kinds of different sharks of the industry, and withstanding the test of time and all of these different things, losing friends along the way, losing key people in their lives like Brian Jones, and still here they are. They've weathered it all and they're still here, still rocking, still loving what they're doing. Mick has got to be, what, 78, 79 by now? Yeah, I think Mick is the oldest of the band. Correct me if I'm wrong. Anyway, man, hey, always got time to listen to the Stones, man. Always. So let's check out Rocks Off. Alright. Not a lot of info, more album info than song info. There's a little bit on the song. Rocks Off. Rocks Off is the opening song on the Rolling Stones' 1972 double album Exile on Main Street. Recorded between July 71 and March of 72, Rocks Off is one of the songs on the album that was recorded at Villa Nelco. I'm sure I'm pronouncing that wrong. Don't kill me for that. A house Keith Richards rented in the south of France during the summer and autumn of 71. Overdubs and final mixing for the song were later done at Sunset Sound Studios in LA between December 71st and March 72. Lyrics and composition. The lyrics to the song are wide-ranging, harsh, and brutally frank at times. Quote, "I'm zipping through the days at lightning speed. Plug in, flush out, and fire the fucking feed. Heading for the overload, splattered on the dirty road. Kick me like you've kicked before. I can't even feel the pain no more." The song features a sudden divergence near the 2-minute 15-second mark into what has been called a psychedelic jam of sorts, with Mick Jagger's vocals electronically distorted and the guitar chords stretched. Feel so hypnotized, can't describe the scene. Feel so mesmerized, all that inside of me. Recording and releases. The song's mix is notoriously haphazard, as many instruments and even the lead vocals fade in and out of prominence. The Villa's basement, where many of the songs were recorded, was extremely hot, and many of the guitars could not stay in tune as a result. Jimmy Miller produced the track, and it features session men Nicky Hopkins on piano, Jim Price and Bobby Keys on brass, as well as the regular band members. Rocks Off was released as a single in Japan. A live recording was captured during the band's 2002 to 2003 Licks tour and released as the 2004 live album Live Licks. Reception. AllMusic critic Jason Ankeny claims that the song perfectly sets the mood for what's to follow. Murky, gritty, and menacingly raw, its strung-out incoherence captures the record's debauched brilliance and marble-mouthed eloquence. Unquote. Damn, man. I am not gonna read that again. AllMusic's Stephen Thomas Erlewine considers the song a masterpiece. Jonathan Zwickle of Pitchfork considers it some of the Rolling Stones' most enduring and soulful work. Alright. Yeah, I'm gonna have to go back and listen to this again. And yeah, Sarah, I will. I'll get the lyrics in front of me, man. So, let's check out our second track, man. That being Tumbling Dice. Alright. The Rolling Stones, Tumbling Dice. Let's get it. Good harmonizing, really nice harmonies in this. It makes the song. Nice. Yeah, Tumbling Dice. Good tune. Good tune. Man, they've got so many Iconic songs that you just forget about a whole bunch of them, don't you? Yeah, man. Tumbling Dice, good song. Good harmonies, man. Really enjoy those. Yeah, this album, Exile on Main Street, a number of people have been saying that it's one of 4 of their best albums. Now, I can't. Maybe Hot Rocks is another one. I know Hot Rocks. I don't know if that's considered one of the 4 and the best of the Rolling Stones, but some people were suggesting that I do, like, instead of Artist of the Month, do like the best of the Rolling Stones. And I know that many people have been saying that it's 4 albums. Now, I think even in their bio, it's called a period of some sort. I'm going to have to go back and read their bio info. But yeah, there's supposedly 4 albums, and I remember this Exile on Main Street being in that lineup of 4 of their very best. And, you know, I mean, if you can't do the entire chronology of the Rolling Stones, their entire discography, you know, those are the 4 albums. So, and okay, yeah, this is a double album, this one, Exile on Main Street. So yeah, you are definitely getting a lot of songs. All right, hey, let's check this out, man. Tumbling Dice. Let's see what we can learn about that. Okay, yeah, there's decent amount of song info here. Tumbling Dice. Tumbling Dice is a single written by Mick Jagger and Keith Richards for the Rolling Stones' 1972 double album Exile on Main Street, and was the album's lead single. The song, recorded in the basement of the Chateau Villa Nelcot in France, peaked at number 7 on the US Billboard Hot 100 chart and number 5 in the UK singles chart. The lyrics tell the story of a gambler who cannot remain faithful to any woman. The music has a blues boogie-woogie rhythm and has been noted for its irregular lyrical structure and groove. Tumbling Dice has been performed in many of the band's concerts since its premiere on the 3rd of June in '72 at the Pacific Coliseum in Vancouver, British Columbia. Cover versions of Tumbling Dice have been created in such diverse styles as reggae, bluegrass, and noise rock. An updated noise rock. What the hell is noise rock? Noise rock. Is it anything closely resembling bug music? Noise rock. I'm going to have to look that up. An updated version from a female perspective was a top 40 hit single for Linda Ronstadt in '78, which is included in the film FM and on her album Simple Dreams. Linda Ronstadt. I love that lady, man. She was I think she was my very, very first lady of rock reaction, Linda Ronstadt. That was within the first month, I think, when I started my channel. So it would have been September of 2018. I gotta find that reaction. Critical reception. Due to its length and musical scope, most reviews of Exile on Main Street glossed over the album's individual songs to focus on the album as a whole. However, Lenny Kaye, in his review for Rolling Stone, took a paragraph to describe the song. Quote, "But it's left to Tumbling Dice to not just place a cherry on the first side, but to also provide one of the album's only real moves towards a classic. As the guitar figure slowly falls into Charlie's inevitable smack, the song builds to a kind of majesty the Stones at their best have always provided. Nothing is out of place here. Keith's simple guitar figure providing the nicest of bridges, the chorus touching the upper levels of heaven and spurring on Jagger, set up by an arrangement that is both unique and imaginative. It's definitely the cut that deserved the single, and the fact that it's not likely to touch number 1 shows we've perhaps come a little further than we originally intended." Unquote. Yeah, wow. Sorry, who was this guy again? Lenny Kaye. Lenny Kaye, Rolling Stone. Okay. I don't know if I've ever heard of Lenny Kaye. Have I ever read a review of his? I don't think so. Disc Magazine, 15th April 72 said, unison guitars from Keith and Mick Taylor. Rather than double tracking, let us out and down the hole in the middle. By that time, hypnosis has set in and you're in a cursing fact that the single doesn't last 6 minutes longer. Unquote. Absolutely, yeah. I agree with that shit, man. You could have extended that into a jam. Especially with all of those nice little, almost like choir-like harmonies. Yeah. The song has earned spots on numerous best of lists, including Spin ranking it as the third greatest single of all time. Rolling Stone ranked Tumbling Dice as 424 on their list of the 500 greatest songs of all time in 2004. And Q Magazine ranked it 258 on their 1001 greatest songs of all time. High rankings, man. Yeah, it's a great, excellent song. And yeah, that is my my jab against it. That it's too short, and that maybe Mick's lyrics could have been a little bit more clear, or the volume turned up a little bit more. That's the only thing I was thinking in my mind. But otherwise, those are just little petty things, man. It's still a damn 5 out of 5. Torn and Frayed is our next track, man. So, Rolling Stones, Torn and Frayed. Let's get it.
Just put that weed right off the street.
Yeah, definitely from their classic era, man. Definitely. As I'm listening to their harmonies and their musicianship and the instrumentation and all that they're creating here at this period, one question comes to mind, and that is, why did Mick Taylor leave? What happened? Because it seemed to be a really good fit here. It seems that they're at the leading edge of their creativity, and they seem to get along. They're jamming well, and in my opinion, it's a real shame that he left. Or maybe am I only just kind of getting it from one-sided point of view? Why did he leave? And him leaving, in your opinion, was it a good thing or not so good? I mean, hey, they've been around forever, and they've obviously went on to become successful from that point, even with Mick leaving and whatnot. But why did he leave? And do you think it was a good thing or a bad thing? Answer that for me. All right, man. So, Torn and Frayed. We've got a little bit of song info here. And, decent amount, about 2 paragraphs. Torn and Frayed. Torn and Frayed is a song by the Rolling Stones that appears on their 1972 album Exile on Main Street. Written by Mick Jagger and Keith Richards, Torn and Frayed is called a twangy, 3-chord honky-tonk, but not typically country. The progression of the chords brings gospel music to mind. That's by Bill Janovitz in his review of the song. Background. The song is included on side 2 of Exile, the side known for its acoustic folk and country tunes. Is it Janovitz or Janovitz? Janovitz, I'll say. Continues. The music comes as close to definitive country rock of Stax like country soul as anything from the era, barring Graham Parsons, an immediate influence on the Stones. Graham Parsons was present for the recording sessions of Exile at Nelcott, and Torn and Frayed is perhaps the most overtly Parsons-influenced cut the Stones ever recorded, with a country soul flavor reminiscent of the Parsons-fronted Flying Burrito Brothers' 1969 debut album, The Gilded Palace of Sin. In fact, Al Perkins, a good friend and collaborator of Parsons, appears on the track and performs the song's pedal steel guitar. Janovitz says of the lyrics, Torn and Frayed followed a vagabond-like guitar player whose coat is torn and frayed. And here's a quote of the lyrics. Well, the ballrooms and smelly bordellos and dressing rooms filled with parasites. On stage, the band has got problems. They're a bag of nerves on first nights. He ain't tied down to no hometown. Yeah, and you thought he was reckless. You think he's bad. He thinks you're mad. Yeah, and the guitar player gets restless. Live performances. Torn and Frayed was performed by the Stones during the 1972 tour of America and was reintroduced to setlists during the 2002 leg of the Licks tour. In 2009, it was covered by the Black Crowes on Warpaint Live. The song was also covered by Fish during their cover of Exile on Main Street on the 31st of October in 2009. Okay, man, so that is Song Fact Info on Torn and Frayed. It gives you that kind of far away feeling, doesn't it? Just kind of makes your mind wander. All right, so Let It Loose is our final track, man. Let It Loose. It's a decent length. It's almost 6 minutes. Rolling Stones, Let It Loose. Let's get it.
Who's that woman on your arm? stuff to do you harm. And I'm here to watch you do. Give her just about a month or two. Just about a month or two. Get off more than I can chew. And on the ooh, yeah, I knew all it was a leading to. Some things well I can't refuse. I can't refuse. One of them, the bedroom blue. She delivered right on time. I can't resist upon a line, but they can shine right off your shoe. Yeah, right off your shoe. Carrying the bedroom
Presence of the brass behind her. Back around the fingers. That was excellent. That was an excellent track. Who the hell says that Mick Jagger can't sing? He has a very, very unique delivery. Could you imagine modern music without the presence of Mick Jagger in it? You know, that familiar sound of his voice, of his signature, of his delivery. You know, growing up, even if you weren't raised on classic rock, you know Mick Jagger. Damn, man. Yeah, this dude, he's got the ability to convey emotion in his singing, to convey anxiousness, to convey different kinds of unrest in his singing. He isn't just singing about getting with a girl and courting a woman all the time. He can sing very complex things like this, man. And you feel the emotional delivery. This song was his. Everything in the song was really good. The musicianship, the backing vocals, the instrumentation, you got the piano and the brass doing a really stellar job, but it's Mick that's the standout. His singing, the way he's leaning into it emotionally, fantastic musician, fantastic singer, man. And I really like what the Rolling Stones provided during the British invasion era when there was contrast required. Too much of the Beatles would just be too much. You needed something to offset that, and the Rolling Stones was perfect for it. So, you know, his manner of singing, his style and everything like that, they had a little bit of a roguish bad boy opposite side to the same side of the coin of the Beatles. I really like that. And yeah, man, Mick Jagger, I don't know. Did you guys know that he's my favorite frontman? There's nobody else. You know, there are great frontmen out there, but for me, only one person has that particular platform. That's Mick Jagger. In my opinion, he is the greatest frontman of all time, across every single genre that you can think of. The greatest frontman fronting a band or a musical entity, that would be Mick Jagger. That's where I hold him. So, let's see where we're at here. Let It Loose. Another great memory of Mick's that I really like. When I first started my channel, I think it was my fourth reaction. My fourth reaction, man. And it was Gimme Shelter. And in this particular case, there was a feature with Mary Clayton. And she was recalling that night, you know, when she was called up and she's like, hey, you know, the Rolling Stones need somebody to sing with Mick. And it's this song about rape and murder and all of this sort of thing. And so she's recalling this, you know, here she is, pregnant, jumps out of bed. She's got a mink coat on, silk pajamas, curlers in her hair in the middle of the night to go and sing with Mick Jagger. And they had an isolated spot on Mary's voice when she was getting into the rape murder part and her voice cracked. And you should have seen the look on Mick's face when it was taking him right back to that moment. And, you know, there are moments in Mick's singing that has such intensity, you know, and I remember that as being one of the, I would say that's one of my favorite reactions from my channel. 500 reactions later, that is definitely in my top 5 favorite reactions, just because of that little piece where Mick is thinking back, and obviously it's taken him 50 years back to that moment when he was singing with Mary. You know what? If I can find a picture, I'll put a screenshot of it right here, and that look on his face tells you every single thing.
Things at sort of 2 in the morning, and then you come in the next day and you go, bloody hell, that's good.
And what I'll do as well, if I can remember, is I'll re-upload that particular reaction and I'll attach it. If you're seeing it on the Patreon platform, it's just scroll down and it's just easily click on the link. YouTube, taking a chance with that. You can't attach it or anything, so I would have to, I could probably link you if YouTube takes both, but if not, I can't link you away from YouTube, and on Vimeo, it's the same thing. I can just upload both one after the other type of thing, but we'll see how that goes. But I'll try and remember to upload that reaction. It's one of my favorite reactions for the content of what it was and what the song was about. I was so deep into the anti-war back then, man. All right, so Let It Loose. Great tune, man. This is definitely worthy of a couple more listens. I really enjoyed it. Let It Loose. Let It Loose is a song by the Rolling Stones, which was released as the last song on side 3 of their 1972 double album, Exile on Main Street. Background. Written by Mick Jagger and Keith Richards, Let It Loose is an emotional gospel blues ballad with a fervent religious feeling. The song being one of the band's prominent forays into soul and gospel during the Exile era after Jagger had attended the services of the Reverend James Cleveland and remained deeply impressed by the singing of the gospel choir. A portion of the lyrics were lifted from the song Man of Constant Sorrow. In an interview with Uncut Magazine April 2010, Jagger was asked about the song's lyrical content. He replied, quote, "I think Keith wrote that, actually. That's a very weird, difficult song. I had a whole other set of lyrics to it, but they got lost by the wayside. I don't think that song had any semblance of meaning. It's one of those rambling songs. I didn't really understand what it was about after the event," unquote. However, in the same article, Richard says, quote, "I would never take Mick's recollection of anything seriously," unquote. I'm sure that Mick can say the same of you, man. I mean, you guys had to have done so much boozing and drugs. You can't remember every single thing, especially the body of music you've created. Yeah, so you definitely got to cut Mick some slack. I'm sure he's got to cut you some too. Reception. Russell Hall, in the 20th February 2008 edition of Gibson Lifestyle, describes Jagger's strident, heart-wrenching singing on Let It Loose as his finest vocal achievement. Yes, it's very good, man. Live. Let It Loose has never been performed live by the Rolling Stones. Fish covered the song as part of their Costume album during Festival 8 in 2009, and then again on June 30th, 2015. June 30th, 2012. The song was featured in Martin Scorsese's 2006 film The Departed and appears on its soundtrack. The song was also featured in Kevin Spacey's 2004 film Beyond the Sea, but it is not included on the soundtrack. I've never heard of that movie, Beyond the Sea. Kevin Spacey. The last thing I saw with Kevin Spacey in it was that TV series. Oh my gosh, he's the president. He started off as a whip and then he schemed his way to becoming House of Cards. What a crazy show. You got to check that series out. He's really good in it, man. All right, so that concludes my reaction to these really fantastic songs from the Stones, and coming back from their very, very, I don't know if it's their biggest, but it's definitely, 71, a great creative time for them, for sure, man. And I always talk about that period, between the mid-60s to the mid-70s, that great creative burst, that renaissance of creativity. They were deep in that renaissance of creativity, let me tell you. I'm really curious about Mick Taylor. I gotta find out why he left and the circumstances of why he left, and how it changed things for the band, whether it being negative or positive, that sort of thing. Because he seemed to be such a natural part of their makeup. Need I even dare say this? It's sacrilege. But I feel that he fit even better than Brian Jones did. Yes, even though Brian Jones was a founding member. Yes, even though Brian Jones was instrumental in naming them and getting them going and things of that sort, I think ultimately it seems to me by impression that Mick Taylor was a better fit where it comes to vibe and frequency and gelling and things of that sort. But maybe I'm wrong, because ultimately he did leave. So yeah, if you can feed me some detailed information, stuff that I probably can't find just by reading, that'd be well appreciated, man. All right, so moving along, man. Coming up, I got quads out of the yazoo, man. I got quads for Ray, Iron Maiden, Robin, Jeffrey, and it goes on and on. So I'm going to try and catch up to my quads big time. And what was I going to say? I was going to say something else about the Stones. Yeah, it's funny. I haven't, in my year and a half of doing this, I haven't done a lot of Stones reactions, really. Rhymes with Teeth gave me a couple of really good reactions, but even his recommendations, when you're really adding it up versus, let's say, the body of work I did for the Unholy Trinity or Pink Floyd even, it's woeful. And the Stones have never been Artist of the Month, so even have more reactions of the Who in, more reactions of the Allman Brothers in. So yeah, the Stones is a major band that I haven't really done a lot of reactions for, so I got to get on that at some point. That's just reminding me of just how woeful. I mean, just these 4 songs, I only know 1 out of the 4. So yeah, there's a lot of Rolling Stone stuff that I really got to get onto. Anyways, man. So you guys, thank you very much for joining me. Hope you enjoyed this reaction. I don't want it to go more than an hour, so I'm going to bounce. So take care, have a good one, stay safe out there, and I'll see you in my next complimentary quad. Peace.